everyone, we are back again with our latest video on SQL tutorial Ebikacho by Ebikacho Groups, and this is day 7 set 0.1 of 30-day SQL interview question series. And in this video is getting recorded on 5th of May 2025. So without any delay, let's move on to the first question of today's video. And here also we will do same as before. First of all, we are going to resolve the query based question, and after that we are going to resolve the theoretical questions. So now let's move and check first question of today's video. So the first question is how to update salaries from salary of employees based on their department. So basically we need to update salary of each employee based on their department in single query. Okay. And we have already created the employees table. So first of all, we will move on to SSMS and check what is that table, employees table, what kind of data it has. And then after that, we will resolve each of the questions one by one. Okay. Okay. Now paste the question here first, then select star from the employees table we will do and check the data there. So select star from employees table. So here you can see we have added some of the records, some new records we have added here, and we have here ID column, name, department, country, age, salary, and date of joining. Okay, now try to resolve this particular question. So what we need to do here, so here we need to update the salaries of employee based on their departments. So if we want to do it in single query, then we need to use the case statement. So first of all, check the departments, how many department we have. So select distinct department from employees table. Now execute this first. So here you can see we have HR, IT, and payroll departments, and ignore the null because we don't need the null currently. Now comment this out. So now we need to update the salary of each employee in each department, okay, in one query. So how to do this? So write the update query for this. Update employees table, and then set what we need to set salary equals to now here our case statement will come. So case when department equals to HR, then increase the salary by 10,000. When department equals to HR, then salary plus 10,000. Okay, comma, when, no comma, when. So when, why we have written where here? So case when, WHEN, sorry for this, and when department equals to IT, then increase by 15,000. Okay, then salary plus 15,000. Okay, and then last one, when department equals to payroll, we will copy from here. When department equals to payroll, increase the salary by 20,000. Then salary equals salary plus 20,000. Okay, else end as 0, else end. Okay, that is it, else end, then else 0. Okay, else we need to provide some value, so 0 we are providing, else 0 end. Now when you execute this, so first of all check the select statement if this is working fine or not, and then after that we will update this. So before you are doing any update in production, when you are going to work, then you must need to check the query first before doing update or delete, that you are doing it proper or not, or your logic is returning proper result set or not. So first of all we will check this using the select statement. So write the select statement for this. So select department, paste this first, from employees table. So from employees, okay, and now we need the department also, we will check. So department, comma, case this one, and then name also we can take. So name, select name or employee name, what we have here we will check first. So name we have. Okay, now control R, name, comma, case of this, and then execute this first and check what kind of result we are getting. Comma salary column also we will take, so that we can compare also. Okay, now execute this select statement first. So this is a good question. Okay, now here you can see what we are getting. So null, ignore this null one. Now where clause also we will mention, where department is not null, is not null, and also, and what, and not, and order by, order by, order by department, department. Okay, this is fine. Now when we execute this, then we will get a sequential address. So here you can see for HR, the current means the increased salary is this one, and the previous salary is this one. Okay, and for you can see IT, the increased salary is this one, 15,000 added to each of the records, and this is the not increased salary. So our result set is fine. Now we can run the execute statement without any fear. Now execute this, and you can see all our results has been updated. So 12 rows has been affected. Now we can see select star from employees where department is not null. So for null we have not increased the salary. We will check how many records are coming here. So you can see 10 rows are there. Okay, might be something is missing. So that we will check. And this is the final query that you need to provide to the interviewer for this particular question, this second one, update statement. And for how to check like we are providing a proper result or not, you can use the select statement. Okay, now move on to the next question, as this question has taken a lot of time. Okay, now the second question, what it is telling. So how to write a query to list all employees without a department. Okay, so basically we need to write down the employees who are without any department. So that is why we have kept some records where the department ID is null. Department is null. Okay. Now this is a very simple question, and the resolution for this is also very simple. So just you need to write down select star from employees, employees where department, DEPT, department is null. Okay, and these are generally basic questions for checking if you have applied null clause or not. The interviewer will ask this question to you. Okay, basically these are general question, or these are, means you can say, beginners level questions. So if you are beginner, these questions can come to your interviews. Okay, so like this only you can find out those employee details whose department is null, if any record exists in that table or not. So here you can see we have two records, John and Mary records, which are having department as null. Okay, so now this is clear. Now move on to the next question. So next what we have, the third question. So means beginner level questions also we are adding on our tutorial. So that means beginners will also be able to fetch all the questions or related to the interviews. Now the third question, write a query to find the maximum salary and minimum salary in each department. So this is a very basic question, but many people will confuse in this because of the trick part. So there is no trick part, means people will not understand. So before performing any query based question in SQL, you must need to understand the question first, and then it will be very easy to do. So here just we need to find out the maximum salary and minimum salary in each of the departments. So for that, what we need to use? We need to use the min max function and group by functions. Okay. So how to apply this? Select department, and then department wise maximum and minimum salary we want. So max of salary as maximum salary, as maximum salary, maximum salary, and then mean of salary, mean salary as our minimum salary, minimum, MINIMUM, minimum salary. Okay, and then here we need the result by department, department wise maximum and minimum salary we want. So that is why we need to group our result set by department, because it is neither contained in any aggregate function. So we need to make it contained in a group by clause, so that the means we will get department wise mean and max salary. Okay, now from which table? So from employees table, and then here we need to put the group by department. Okay, and this is the final query that you need to provide to the interviewer for this particular question. Okay, now execute this and check the result set. So here you can see what we are getting. For null, ignore this, 0 0 is the min max, because null is unidentified, so it is not considered as a department. Okay, so that is the reason we are getting 0 0 for null. Now for HR, we are getting this as the maximum salary and this as the minimum salary. Similarly for IT, this is the maximum salary and this is the minimum salary, and so on. Okay, so this is clear. Now move on to the next question. So next, what we have after the third question, we have the fourth question: how to list all employees hired in the last 6 months. So this is basically a very good question. So here you need to apply the date time function, and how to apply, we will check on SSMS. Now move on to SSMS. So basically these questions are asked to around 3 to 5 years of experience people, and these are most frequently asked question, because here you can show if you have applied date time functions in your working or not. So how to list all employees hired in last 6 months. So here we have date of joining column in our employees table. Related to that, we need to compare the current date, means current date minus 6 months. Okay, so how to apply that? So the query for this will be select a star from employees, and then where, one second, where doj should be greater than 6 months. So how to write 6 months? So for writing 6 months, we need to write date add, then date add, what we need to add? We need to add month, and then minus 6 month we need to add. Where we need to add? We need to add in get date. So get date, and basically our date of joining is a date data type column, so we need to cast get date to date so that we will get the exact result. Okay, so now here cast get date, cast get date as date. Okay, now one parenthesis is missing. So this is the final query that you need to provide to the interviewer for this particular question: how to list all employees hired in last 6 months. Now execute this and check. So here you can see these employees have hired in the last 6 months, like who? John, Mary, Anand. Okay, this is clear. Now move on to the next question. So next, what we have, the fifth question. So write a query to display department wise total and average salary. So this is also a basic question, but these are generally asked in interviews. So here we need to find out the total salary, which is the sum of salary department wise, and then average of salary. Okay, so the query for this will be like, here both the sum and average function, both we need to apply. So write the query for this: select department, and the table name we will mention first so that intelligence will work for us. So from employees department, now department, select dpt department, then what we need? Then we need the total salary. So for total salary, sum of salary, and sum of salary is the as total salary. Okay, and then we need the average of salary, so comma avg of salary, and put alias for this as avg salary. Okay, and this is the final query, not, this is not the complete query. Here we need the result department wise, so we need to mention group by to department. So group by department, dept. Okay, this is clear. Now execute this, and this is the final query that you need to provide to the interviewer for this particular question. So execute this. So here you can see HR, IT, and payroll, we are getting the total salary and the average salary. And here one more where condition we can also apply: where department not in, where department is not null. Okay, because null value is coming, and that is not looking good. Now execute this, and here you can see we are getting HR, IT, payroll, total and average salary. This is clear. Now move on to the next question. So next, what we have? Next we have the sixth question. So what it is telling? So these are the theoretical questions. Now we will increase our screen length so that it will be visible to you also properly and to us also properly. Now increase the length of the screen. Move on to the sixth question. So sixth question, what we have? So how to optimize SQL stored procedure. in SQL. Okay, so how to optimize the stored procedure in SQL, and this is the most frequently asked question, and I think everyone will face this particular question from any expertise level, from beginners to high level or advanced expertise like 10 to 12 years of experience. People also will face this particular question because this is the mandatory question. When you are going to work in SQL, then you must know how to optimize a store procedure in SQL. So these are some of the points, and if you are a beginner, then you can decrease number of points that you will tell in the interview. But if you are expert, then you need to mention each and every point. Now move on and check each of the points. So the answer for this will be like optimizing store procedure in SQL Server can significantly improve performance. So here are some key techniques. Number one point is use set no count. So this prevents SQL Server for sending unnecessary message about the number of rows affected, reducing network traffic. Okay. So basically while creating the store procedure, you can mention the set no count on first, and then you can set it to off at the end of the store procedure once the store procedure is executed. So what will happen when you do set no count on? So when you do set no count on, then it will not provide you the messages that you are getting like this much rows has been affected or that much rows has been affected, which will reduce the network traffic. Okay, this is clear. Now the second point, so use fully qualified procedure names. So referencing objects with schema.object name helps SQL Server locate compiled plans faster. So basically instead of mentioning just the simple SP name, you need to provide the schema.sp name. Okay, like DBO schema if you have, then DBO.store procedure name. Otherwise, you can mention your schema name first and then dot the store procedure name. That is called the two-factor name. Okay, so use fully qualified procedure name, and basically you can also add your database name or server names also you can add if needed. Now the third point, so prefer sp underscore execute SQL over execute for dynamic queries. So basically you need to use underscore execute SQL, which is a system stored procedure, instead of using this direct execute command for dynamic queries. So what it will do, this allows for plan reuse and protects against SQL injection. Okay, now the D point, fourth point, so use if exist instead of select star. Now checking for existence with select one is more efficient than retrieving all columns. So basically using if exist, you can check if the data is existing on the table or not by using the select one from the table name. That will what that will provide, so that will provide the output if data is available in that table, otherwise it will provide no value. Okay, so instead of using select star, we can apply if exist if we can do that. Now the point five point fifth point, so avoid naming stored procedure with sp underscore. So why it is prohibited? Because sp underscore is the prefix for all the system stored procedure names. So you can see what will happen with this. So SQL Server first searches the master database for system procedure, which can slow execution. Okay, so basically SQL Server will go and search for the system database, system stored procedure first, and then after that it will go to your SP if you keep the prefix as sp underscore. Okay, now move on to the next point because this question is continued. So point number F, select only necessary columns. So avoid select star and specify only the required columns to reduce data retrieval time. Okay, now point G, so keep transactions short, minimize the duration of transactions to reduce locking and improve concurrency. Okay, now point H, so use appropriate index. So ensure that your queries use indexes efficiently to speed up data retrieval. Okay, this is clear. Now I, use try catch for error handling. And the last point, try to avoid using SQL Server cursors whenever possible, because servers will degrade your performance very much. Okay, so if possible, you can prohibit using cursors. In place of that, if you can put any other logic, then you can apply that. Okay, and if you need a detailed video on SQL store procedure, then we have already created a detailed video on SQL store procedure where you can see types of store procedure, how to write the store procedures, parameterized store procedure, non-parameterized store procedures, output store procedures, and everything about store procedure that you need to know. Okay, now move on to the next question. So next what we have, seventh questions, so how you will execute the store procedure with other user. Okay, so the answer for this is like you can execute a store procedure as a different user in SQL Server using the execute as statement. So basically we can execute a store procedure using a different user by using the execute as statement. So how to use execute as statement? So this is the format for this or syntax for this. Like execute as user, then you need to mention in quotation the other user, then execute your store procedure name that you want to execute, and then revert. So the explanation for this will be like execute as user, what it will do. So execute as user equals to other user switches the execution context to the specified user. Okay. Now the point number two, execute your store procedure runs the procedure under that user permissions. Okay. If that other user have the permission, then only these particular store procedure will be executed. Otherwise, it will not be executed. Okay. Now revert what it will do. So revert restores the original execution context. Okay. Now what kind of permissions required for this? So the user must have impersonate permission on the target user or login. Okay. And number point two is the database must have trustworthy property enabled in cross database execution is needed, if cross database execution is needed. Okay. Now move on to the next question. So next what we have, the eighth question. So what is the difference between store procedure and views in SQL? So according to these given features, we will find out the difference between store procedure and views. Okay. And this is also a very means rarely mostly asked question. So you must know these things like difference between store procedure, views, store procedure functions, store procedure triggers. These differences are mostly asked in interviews. Okay. So the features will start from the definition. So what is the definition? So store procedure, a pre-compiled collection of SQL statement, whereas views, a virtual table presenting data from one or more tables. Okay. Now according to data storage, so store procedure does not store data, only executes logic, whereas views does not store data, retrieves dynamically. Both have different process. Okay. Now aspect parameters. So store procedure, yes, we can pass accept input parameters. Now for views, no, cannot accept parameters. Okay. Now performance DML operations, perform DML operations. So stored procedure, yes, insert, update and delete can be performed from stored procedure. Views, no, only select queries are available. Okay. Now used for business logic. So stored procedure, yes, contains procedural logic, whereas views, no, used for data abstraction. Used for only data abstraction only. Okay. Now data modification. So store procedure, yes, can modify data using SQL commands, whereas views, no, purely for data presentation only. Okay. Now performance. So store procedure can be optimized for execution speed, whereas views simplifies complex queries but does not improve performance directly. Okay. Now security perspective, security uses. So store procedure used for restricting direct table access and encapsulating logic, whereas views used for providing restricted view of data for the users. So basically views are used to provide only those amount of data that we want the different user can see or check in that particular table. Okay. Now move on to the next question. So next what we have, ninth question. So what would you use, store procedure or function? So basically this is very important question, and this will define when to use store procedure and when to use the functions. So store procedure and functions in SQL Server serve different purpose, and choosing between them depends on your requirements. So here's a breakdown. So when to use store procedure. So the conditions where we need to use the stored procedure are A, data modification. So if you need to perform insert, update, delete or other DML operations, then we can use the stored procedure. Now second point, complex business logic. So when multiple SQL statements need to be executed in sequence, then we can use the stored procedure. Then third point, performs optimization. So stored procedures are pre-compiled, reducing execution time. Okay. Now the fourth point, security and access. So you can restrict direct table access and encapsulate logic using the store procedure. Now fifth point, transaction handling. So store procedures support transaction handling, ensuring data integrity. And the last point, dynamic SQL execution. So if you need to execute dynamic queries based on parameters, then we need to use the store procedure. Now move on and check what are the cases where you use the function. So when to use functions. So number one point is data retrieval only. So functions cannot modify data, they are used for select queries. Okay. Number two, second point, reusable computation. So if you need to perform calculation and return a single value or table, then we can use the function. Third point, inline execution. So functions can be used inside select, where, and join clauses. Okay. Now the fourth point, consistency and simplicity. So functions ensure consistent results and simplify complex queries. Okay. Now the last point, performance in queries. So scalar and table valued functions can optimize query execution. Okay. So these are the points when to use function and when to use store procedure. Now move on to the last question. What we have, this is a very important question. Why use functions instead of store procedures in SQL? So basically, why to choose functions on top of store procedure, so that it will explain. So functions in SQL server are preferred over store procedure in certain scenarios due to their unique advantages. So what are those advantages? Number one is used in select, where, and join clause. So functions can be embedded within SQL queries, unlike store procedure. Store procedure we cannot use with select, where, and join clauses. Okay. Now second point, ensures consistency. So functions always return a value, making them reliable for calculation and transformation. So basically, store procedure can or cannot return a value, but function must return a value. So that is the reason functions are always returning a value. So making them reliable for calculation and transformation. Okay. Now the third point, encapsulation of logic. So functions simplify complex expression by encapsulating reusable logics. Okay. Now the fourth point, improves query performance. So inline table value functions can optimize query execution. And the last point is security and restriction. So functions restricts modification to data, ensuring safer execution. Okay, and that is it in this set. Thank you for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Many more videos are on the way, and the part 2 of day 7 will also upload today only. And today we are also planning to load the Windows function video. Actually, we have created that video, but still we have not uploaded. We are planning to upload it today by late night. Okay, so thank you for watching, and if you have any doubt, and if you didn't understand any of the part in this particular set, then you can let us know in the comment section. And if you need the table data set and all, then you can visit to our Telegram channel using this particular link, or the link you will find in the video description as well as on our channel description. And one more thing that we are telling in each video, that once we reach the milestone of 500 subscriber, we are going to launch a master series on SQL that will cover everything related to SQL from zero to advanced level. And your concept will be clear after going through that playlist from beginner to advanced, for everything like relational databases as well as SQL and everything. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. Keep supporting, keep watching. Thank you.